Welcome back to the Alpha Insider Show. I'm Aaron, and today we're diving deep into something truly special. Imagine this, a mentor guiding you, helping you reclaim your confidence and realize your potential. That's the journey we're exploring today with Dr. Bak and one of his apprentices, Marlene Chatigny. Now, if you've ever felt like you needed that extra push or wondered how to find your way back to self-belief, this episode is for you. Dr. Bak doesn't just mentor, he empowers. And with Marlene, he's tapping into his unique methods to spark a profound transformation in a self-growth journey. These are insights you won't find anywhere else. And trust me, this 30-minute session with Dr. Bak and Marlene is powerful. We're in for an experience of learning, resilience, and a path to healing self-confidence. Ready to step into the alpha mindset? Let's get started.
Welcome in, everyone, to a deep dive into Dr. Bak and his ideas.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one.
It's like a treasure trove of personal stories and philosophical nuggets, all about, how to level up in life.
Exactly.
Part memoir, part guide to being your most awesome self,
And it's really cool that Dr. Bak is, he's not your typical self-help guru. You know what I mean?
Right, totally.
The guy's a world record-holding author, successful entrepreneur, and get this, a top 100 doctor.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's coming at this whole self-discovery thing from a pretty unique angle, I think.
For sure. It's not every day you get advice from someone who's built businesses.
Right.
And we're going to be exploring all this alongside someone on their own journey, Marlene Chatigny.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's like we're getting a double dose of wisdom here, like Dr. Bak's insights and how they're playing out in Marlene's life.
I love that.
Yeah, so, one of the first things that really grabbed me was Dr. Bak's wine glass metaphor.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Explain that for our listeners. What's the deal with the wine glass?
All right, so picture this.
Okay.
You're about to enjoy a glass of, fine wine, but the glass hasn't been cleaned properly. There's residue from the last drink, maybe even some stubborn stains clinging to the sides, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that residue, that's like the baggage we carry from our past. The hurts, the disappointments, all the limiting beliefs.
Okay, so I'm seeing where this is going. That residue from past experiences, it's going to taint the taste of that delicious wine, right?
Yes, exactly. It stops us from fully savoring the present moment, from experiencing life's richness and joy.
Yeah, totally.
Dr. Bak calls this cleaning the glass, letting go of all those old patterns and beliefs that no longer serve us so we can truly taste what life has to offer.
Okay, that makes total sense, but how do we actually clean the glass? It's a great metaphor, but where do we even begin?
Well, he suggests starting with self-reflection, really taking the time to examine those deep-seated beliefs.
Yeah.
The stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what we're capable of.
Right.
Often, it's those unconscious patterns that are holding us back.
So it's like becoming aware of the residue before we can even start cleaning it.
Exactly, like shining a light on those shadowy corners of our minds where we've been storing all that emotional baggage.
Yeah. And then I imagine forgiveness comes into play, like forgiving ourselves for past mistakes and maybe even forgiving those who've hurt us,
Absolutely. Dr. Bak is a big believer in the power of forgiveness to release us from the grip of the past.
Yeah.
He says it's not about condoning bad behavior. It's about freeing ourselves from the weight of all that resentment and guilt so we can move forward with a lighter heart.
I think that's something a lot of people struggle with, letting go of that hurt and anger. It's so easy to get stuck in those negative emotions.
Totally. He actually shared this really powerful quote about good intentions, how sometimes, even when we're trying our best, we can end up making things worse.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that we're all human, we all make mistakes, and holding on to all that guilt just keeps us trapped in a cycle of self-sabotage.
For sure.
Yeah.
So cleaning the glass, it's an ongoing process, right? It's not like we do it once and then we're done.
Right, exactly. It's about cultivating this awareness of our thoughts and emotions and making a conscious effort to let go of what's no longer serving us.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, another thing that really struck me was Dr. Bak's personal journey of breaking free from expectations.
Oh, yeah.
He talks about how he was raised with these values of loyalty and fidelity above all else, but it took him a while to realize that they weren't truly his own.
Yeah, and what's interesting is how he connected this to the pressure of being in the spotlight.
Yeah.
He's achieved so much, and there's this constant feeling of having to live up to people's expectations. He even compares it to being Superman. always having to be perfect, never allowed to show weakness.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like the higher you climb, the more people are watching and the more you're afraid of making a mistake.
Exactly. And he argues that the only way to truly overcome that fear is to trust yourself to build that inner confidence rather than relying on external validation.
Okay, so like we're giving other people the keys to our self-esteem.
Exactly. And he made this really interesting point about how the more we seek approval from others, the more we give away our own power.
Oh.
It's like we become dependent on that external validation instead of cultivating our own inner strength.
And that's never a good idea.
No, definitely not.
Okay, so building that self-trust is like crucial. It's the foundation for everything else.
Absolutely. And it ties into his whole philosophy on fear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he has this really unique perspective. He sees fear not as something to be avoided, but as a potential catalyst for growth.
Wait, so he's saying fear can actually be a good thing?
Well, in a way, yes.
Okay.
He shared this incredible dream he had where he was being judged by God for not using all of his talents. And that fear of not living up to his potential, it became a driving force in his life.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it pushed him to step outside of his comfort zone, to take risks, to pursue his passions with everything he had.
So it's like fear can be a signal that we're on the right track, that we're about to do something that really matters.
Exactly. He actually challenged us to reframe our understanding of courage. He said, true courage isn't about being fearless. It's about having the strength to act even when we're afraid.
Right.
It's about transforming that fear into action, into positive momentum.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. Cleaning the glass, building self-trust, transforming fear into action, like it's a recipe for personal growth.
Exactly.
So speaking of action, Dr. Bak has a really interesting take on emotions, particularly how we handle them.
Oh, yeah.
He compared emotions to a wild horse, right?
Yes. He said that trying to suppress our emotions is like trying to keep a wild horse trapped in your living room. It's just going to cause chaos and destruction.
Okay, so instead of trying to cage those wild horses, he says we need to learn to ride them.
Exactly. He talked about how he learned to harness the energy of his emotions, even the negative ones like anger and frustration, and channel them into productive action.
He actually credits this ability to ride his emotions for his incredible productivity.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
Like he wrote a book in 2 days, fueled by frustration. It's like he turned that negative energy into rocket fuel.
It completely challenges that conventional wisdom of trying to maintain emotional control all the time.
Yeah.
Dr. Bak suggests that instead of fighting our emotions, we can actually use them to propel us forward, to give us momentum.
It's like turning that wild, untamed energy into a powerful driving force.
Right. It's not about denying our emotions. It's about understanding them, acknowledging them, and then learning to channel them in a way that serves us.
So instead of letting our emotions control us, we learn to control them. It's like becoming the master of our own emotional roller coaster.
Exactly. And this mastery, this ability to ride our emotions, it's something that can be learned and cultivated. You know, it's a skill that can transform our lives, both personally and professionally.
Absolutely. So we've talked about cleaning the glass, building self-trust, and riding our emotions. What else did Dr. Bak have to say about navigating this whole self-discovery journey?
Well, one thing that stood out to me was his perspective on jealousy.
Okay.
It's an emotion most people try to avoid, but he really digs into why we experience it and what we can learn from it.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he doesn't recommend just like burying those feelings of jealousy deep down inside.
He actually frames jealousy as a symptom of deeper pain, particularly the fear of being left behind.
So it's not necessarily about like wanting to tear someone else down.
Right.
It's more about grappling with our own feelings of like inadequacy or stagnation.
Exactly. He uses this great analogy of everyone being on a bus, moving through life at their own pace.
Yeah.
And sometimes we see someone else, you know, speeding ahead while we feel stuck, and that can trigger those feelings of jealousy and resentment.
It's like that classic keeping up with the Joneses syndrome, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But instead of comparing ourselves to our neighbors, we're comparing ourselves to everyone on social media, which just like amplifies those feelings of inadequacy.
And Dr. Bak encourages us to approach those feelings with compassion, both for ourselves and for the person who's triggering those emotions.
Okay.
He says it's a reminder that everyone's journey is unique, and comparing ourselves to others only leads to unnecessary suffering.
So it's about recognizing that we're all on our own path, moving at our own pace, and instead of getting caught up in those comparisons, we can focus on our own journey, on what truly matters to us.
Yeah, and this leads into another interesting concept he introduced, weak bonds.
Okay.
He argues that we often cling to attachments, people, beliefs, even material possessions that no longer serve us.
It's like holding on to a life raft, even though you've already reached the shore.
Exactly. And he suggests that these weak bonds can weigh us down, prevent us from embracing new opportunities and experiences.
So it's about recognizing when something has served its purpose in our lives and having the courage to let go, to make space for something new, something better.
He actually compares this to choosing between writing your name on a rock, a piece of metal, or a sheet of paper. And he said he would choose the paper because it's flexible, adaptable, just like our values and priorities should be.
Interesting.
We need to be able to adapt to change, to let go of what's no longer serving us in order to grow and evolve.
Okay, so we've talked about cleaning the glass, building self-trust, writing our emotions, and letting go of weak bonds. What else can we learn from Dr. Bak about, how to level up in life?
Well, he had a lot to say about the importance of taking responsibility for our lives.
Okay.
And specifically, how blame, whether it's directed inwards or outwards, can be a major roadblock to growth.
So it's not about dwelling on the past, on who's to blame for our current situation, but rather focusing on what we can do to, move forward.
Exactly. He argues that blaming others just allows us to avoid taking responsibility for our own actions and choices. And blaming ourselves leads to a cycle of guilt and shame that prevents us from learning from our mistakes.
So it's about owning our choices, recognizing our role in a situation without getting caught up in self-judgment or pointing fingers at others.
Right. He actually contrasted his perspectives as a doctor and an entrepreneur. He said that as a doctor, failure is not an option. But as an entrepreneur, it's practically a prerequisite for success.
So it's like he embraces failure as a learning opportunity, a chance to refine his approach and get closer to his goals.
Yeah, exactly. He said that as long as he's still standing, he has the chance to fight another day.
I like that.
Yeah, it's this incredibly resilient mindset that allows him to keep pushing forward even when things get tough.
Okay, that's a great segue into our next topic. Discipline and momentum.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Bak is clearly someone who gets things done, so I'm curious to hear his approach to achieving goals.
Well, he's a firm believer in the power of structure and discipline to achieve goals. He actually talked about his approach to writing books, where he sets clear timelines and milestones to build momentum.
And remember, this is a guy who broke world records in book writing.
Yeah.
So clearly his system works.
Right. And he credits this structured approach with helping him stay on track and achieve those incredible results. He said that by breaking down a large goal into smaller steps and then consistently taking action, he's able to create a sense of momentum that makes it easier to keep moving forward, even when motivation wavers.
So it's not about waiting for inspiration to strike. It's about creating systems and structures that support us in taking consistent action towards our goals.
Exactly. And he also highlighted the importance of public accountability. He shares his progress on social media, which creates a sense of social pressure to keep moving forward.
So it's like he's leveraging that external pressure to reinforce his internal discipline. He's creating a system of accountability that helps him stay motivated and on track.
Yeah, and this leads directly into his philosophy on how to achieve seemingly impossible goals.
Okay.
He used his own experience of setting that world record in book writing to illustrate how what seems impossible can become achievable through discipline, momentum, and a willingness to embrace challenges.
He actually started by aiming for 12 books in 12 months, but ended up writing 15 in 15 months.
Wow.
Yeah. And it all stemmed from that initial commitment to pushing beyond his perceived limits. He decided to set a goal that seemed a little bit crazy, a little bit out of reach, and then he just went for it.
It's such an inspiring example of how we can achieve extraordinary things when we set our minds to it.
Yeah.
It's about having the courage to dream big, to set ambitious goals, and then to break them down into smaller steps that feel manageable and achievable.
And it's not just about setting goals and grinding it out, right?
Right.
He also talked about the importance of celebrating those small wins along the way,
Absolutely.
which further reinforces that sense of momentum and keeps us motivated.
And it's about reframing our relationship with failure. He talked about how, as an entrepreneur, failure is practically a prerequisite for success.
Yeah.
It's through those setbacks that we learn, we adapt, and we refine our approach.
He actually said, if you stop at the first sign of blame, you're not an entrepreneur, you're a loser.
Oh, wow.
It sounds harsh.
Yeah.
But I think he's trying to make a point about resilience, about the importance of having a growth mindset. It's about viewing those setbacks not as personal failures, but as opportunities for learning and growth.
Yeah, exactly. He's not advocating for reckless risk-taking. He's advocating for calculated risks, for pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zones, and for having the courage to learn and grow from those experiences.
So it's not about avoiding failure. It's about learning how to fail effectively, how to extract those valuable lessons from our mistakes and use them to propel ourselves forward. And it's not just about pushing ourselves, right?
Right.
He also talked about the importance of knowing when to help others and when to step back and let them figure things out for themselves.
He had this great line. He said, if I help someone, I have to ask, did I truly help them or was I imposing myself on them?
It's a great question to ask ourselves.
Yeah.
It's about finding that balance between supporting others and empowering them to find their own solutions.
He actually applied this principle to his work as both a doctor and a mentor. He said that when someone is genuinely open to learning, advice flows naturally. But when someone is resistant, offering unsolicited help can do more harm than good.
So it's about meeting people where they are, offering guidance in a way that respects their autonomy, and trusting that they have the capacity to figure things out for themselves.
Exactly. And this ties back to his earlier point about self-reliance.
Okay.
He emphasized that the more confident we are in our own abilities, the less we feel the need to impose our methods on others.
It's about leading by example, inspiring others through our actions, rather than trying to control their choices.
He actually said, the more confident I am in that, the less I feel the need to push my methods on anyone else.
It's a really powerful statement about the importance of finding our own inner strength and allowing others to do the same.
And ultimately, Dr. Bak believes that action defines identity. He said, most will say it's our choices, but choices mean nothing without action.
Right.
For me, my identity is built on what I do and the consequences of those actions.
It's a profound reminder that we are not defined by our thoughts or intentions, but by what we actually bring into the world.
He encourages us to embrace the process of trial and error, to view setbacks as learning opportunities, and to keep moving forward with courage and determination.
So it's not about striving for perfection, but about constantly evolving, refining our approach, and taking action to manifest our goals.
He actually compares this process to evolution, constantly adapting and refining our strategies to thrive in a changing environment.
So it's we're all works in progress, constantly evolving and becoming more of who we're meant to be.
And Dr. Bak's insights offer a roadmap for navigating that journey, for embracing the challenges and opportunities that come with personal growth.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
From cleaning our emotional glasses to riding our emotions like a wild horse. From embracing failure to transforming fear into hope.
It's been great.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll delve even deeper into his insights on personal growth, ambition, and living a life of purpose.
You know, one of the things that really stuck with me about Dr. Bak's approach is how he, seamlessly blends personal experience with these philosophical concepts.
Totally.
It's not just theory. You know, he's living these principles out in his own life.
Yeah.
Which makes it all the more compelling, I think.
I agree. He's not afraid to get real, to talk about his own struggles and doubts, makes him so relatable, so human. He's not this untouchable guru on a mountaintop, you know? He's down here in the trenches with us, figuring things out as he goes.
I love that.
All right, so let's circle back to cleaning the glass for a second.
Okay.
We talked about how it's about letting go of past baggage, but how do we actually do that? It's a great metaphor, but where do we even begin?
Well, he doesn't give us, a step-by-step guide.
Right.
But he does offer some valuable insights.
Okay.
He talks about self-reflection, really taking the time to honestly examine our beliefs, patterns, and the stories we tell ourselves.
So it's about becoming aware of those negative thought patterns, those limiting beliefs that might be holding us back.
Right, and he also emphasizes forgiveness, both forgiving ourselves for past mistakes and forgiving those who have hurt us.
That makes sense. Holding on to resentment or guilt just keeps us stuck in the past.
Precisely.
It's like carrying around a backpack full of rocks and wondering why we're so tired.
Dr. Bak suggests that forgiveness isn't about condoning bad behavior. It's about freeing ourselves from that emotional burden of the past.
It's about recognizing that we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
And holding on to anger or resentment it only hurts us in the end.
He actually shares a pretty powerful quote. He says, "The path to hell is indeed paved with good intentions."
Wow, that's deep. What do you think he means by that?
I think he's acknowledging that even when we have the best intentions, our actions can have unintended consequences.
Yeah.
And sometimes those consequences lead to pain and suffering, both for ourselves and others.
It's a humbling reminder that even when we're trying our best, we're not immune to messing up.
And it's how we respond to those mistakes that matters.
Right.
Do we wallow in blame and self-pity?
Yeah.
Or do we use them as opportunities to learn and grow?
Dr. Bak is all about taking responsibility, learning from those missteps, and moving forward with a renewed sense of purpose.
And this ties back to his philosophy on transforming fear into hope. He acknowledges that fear is a natural human emotion.
Right.
But he challenges us to see it as a signal, a call to action.
So instead of letting fear paralyze us, we use it to, fuel our growth. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Exactly. Dr. Bak suggests that fear often pops up when we're stepping outside of our comfort zones, when we're, challenging ourselves to evolve.
Right. It's that mix of excitement and nerves we feel when we're about to try something new, something that stretches us.
Precisely. And he encourages us to embrace those feelings, to recognize them as signs that we're on the right path.
So it's about shifting our perspective, seeing fear not as a roadblock, but as a springboard for growth and expansion.
He makes this fascinating point about the evolutionary basis of fear.
Okay.
He says that in nature, it's not always the strongest or most aggressive creatures that survive.
Yeah.
But those that are most adaptable, those that can navigate danger effectively.
So it's like survival of the fittest, but fittest doesn't mean being the toughest. It means being the most adaptable to change.
Exactly. Dr. Bak suggests that this applies to our lives too.
Okay.
The ability to adapt, to learn from our mistakes, and to keep moving forward even when we're afraid. It's crucial for success and fulfillment.
It's about building that inner resilience that helps us bounce back from setbacks and keep reaching for our goals.
And that brings us back to trust, which we touched on earlier.
Yeah.
Dr. Bak believes that true trust starts with trusting ourselves.
He said something really powerful about that. He said, if you don't have trust in yourself, no relic, no pill, no other person's validation will ever fill that gap.
That really resonated with me. It reminds us that we can't look outside of ourselves for a sense of worth or security.
Right.
It has to come from within.
It's about cultivating that inner knowing, that belief in ourselves that allows us to face life's challenges with confidence and grace.
And Dr. Bak believes that this inner trust is essential for overcoming fear and reaching our goals. He said, fear comes when you don't trust yourself.
That makes so much sense. If we don't believe in our own abilities, fear is more likely to paralyze us, make us doubt ourselves and give up on our dreams.
But when we trust ourselves, we're more likely to take risks, to persevere, and ultimately achieve what we set out to do.
So it's about cultivating that unshakable belief in ourselves, that inner knowing that we have the strength, the wisdom, and the resilience to overcome anything.
And this leads to another fascinating idea that Dr. Bak explores, the idea of discipline transforming into momentum.
He talked about how he applies this to writing, setting clear deadlines and milestones to create a sense of momentum.
Right.
And remember, this is the guy who broke world records in book writing, so clearly his system works.
Right. He credits this structured approach with helping him stay on track and achieve those amazing results. He said that the structure helps him stay in a mindset of constant forward motion.
So it's not about waiting for inspiration, it's about creating systems that support consistent action.
Exactly. He also highlighted public accountability.
Oh, yeah.
Sharing his progress on social media to create a sense of social pressure to keep going.
So it's like he's using external pressure to reinforce his internal discipline.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this leads directly into his philosophy on achieving seemingly impossible goals.
Okay.
He used his world record in book writing to show how what seems impossible can become achievable through discipline, momentum, and a willingness to embrace challenges.
Remember, he initially aimed for 12 books in 12 months, but ended up writing 15 in 15 months.
It's inspiring to see how breaking down a big goal into smaller steps and taking consistent action can lead to extraordinary results.
Yeah, totally.
He also highlighted celebrating small wins along the way to reinforce that sense of momentum.
It's not just about the finish line.
Right.
It's about acknowledging those little victories that keep us going.
Absolutely. And it's about changing how we see failure.
Yeah.
He talked about how, as an entrepreneur, failure is almost necessary for success. It's through those setbacks that we learn and adapt.
He had that bold statement, if you stop at the first sign of blame, you're not an entrepreneur, you're a loser.
It sounds harsh, but he's highlighting resilience and having a growth mindset.
Right.
It's about seeing setbacks as opportunities for learning and growth, not personal defeats.
So it's not about avoiding failure, it's about learning how to fail effectively to extract the lessons from our mistakes and keep moving forward.
Exactly. He's advocating for calculated risks, for pushing ourselves, and for having the courage to learn and grow from those experiences.
He also talked about the importance of knowing when to help others and when to step back.
Yes, he said, if I help someone, I have to ask, did I truly help them, or was I imposing myself on them?
Such a crucial question.
Yeah, it's about respecting boundaries and recognizing that not everyone is ready for our help, you know?
Right. We need to find that sweet spot between support and empowerment.
He applies this to his work, saying advice flows naturally when someone is genuinely open.
Yeah.
But when someone resists, unsolicited help can be counterproductive.
So it's about meeting people where they are and offering guidance that respects their autonomy.
Exactly. And this loops back to self-reliance.
Right.
The more confident we are, the less we feel the need to impose our ways on others.
It's about leading by example, inspiring through actions, not control.
He said, the more confident I am in that, the less I feel the need to push my methods on anyone else.
It's like a powerful reminder to find our own strength and allow others to do the same.
Ultimately, Dr. Bak believes this process of taking action and striving towards our goals, it shapes our identity.
Okay.
I said, most will say it's our choices, but choices are meaningless without action. For me, my identity is built on what I do and the consequences of those actions.
It's a profound reminder that we're defined not by our thoughts or intentions, but by what we bring into the world.
And he encourages us to approach life with adventure.
Yeah.
Seeing it as a grand experiment, never stopping learning and growing.
So it's not about perfection. It's about embracing the journey, the ups and downs, the successes and failures, and using those experiences to, fuel our growth and evolution.
It's almost like he's encouraging us to become alchemists of our own lives.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Alchemists, transforming the raw materials of our experiences, the good and the bad, into something meaningful and precious.
Exactly. And speaking of transformation,
yeah,
let's revisit his advice on getting things done. He's clearly a high achiever, so what are his secrets?
I'm all ears. He clearly has a system for making things happen.
Well, besides what we've already discussed, he emphasizes understanding when to offer help and when to step back.
He had that thought-provoking question. If I help someone, I have to ask, did I truly help them, or was I imposing myself on them?
It's about respecting boundaries and recognizing that not everyone is ready for our help.
Right. We need to find that sweet spot between support and empowerment.
He applies this to his work, saying, advice flows naturally when someone is genuinely open. But when someone resists, unsolicited help can be counterproductive.
So it's about meeting people where they are and offering guidance that respects their autonomy.
And this loops back to self-reliance.
Okay.
The more confident we are, the less we feel the need to impose our ways on others.
It's about inspiring through our actions, not trying to control others' choices.
He said, the more confident I am in that, the less I feel the need to push my methods on anyone else.
It's a powerful reminder to find our own strength and allow others to do the same.
Ultimately, Dr. Bak believes this process of taking action and striving towards our goals, it shapes our identity.
Okay.
He said, most will say it's our choices, but choices are meaningless without action. For me, my identity is built on what I do and the consequences of those actions.
It's a profound reminder that we're defined not by our thoughts or intentions, but by what we bring into the world.
What a deep dive this has been. We've explored so many fascinating ideas, from cleaning the glass to writing our emotions, from embracing failure to turning fear into hope.
It's been a journey.
And we've only just begun to tap into Dr. Bak's wisdom. His insights offer a powerful roadmap for personal growth, achieving our goals, and living a fulfilling life.
And one thing that really struck me about Dr. Bak is how he, embodies his own philosophies.
Oh, yeah.
He's not just talking the talk, he's walking the walk, especially when it comes to his relationship with his son, William.
Oh, absolutely. It's heartwarming to see how he applies his principles to parenting.
He talked about how William, at just 7 years old, wanted to write 2 books, Lionheart and Dragonheart.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, and instead of just like dismissing it as a childish whim, Dr. Bak saw it as a chance to teach his son valuable life lessons.
I love that.
And it's amazing how he weaves these profound ideas into engaging stories that his son can connect with.
He doesn't shy away from complex topics either. He uses the books to introduce concepts like courage, resilience, and emotional mastery.
I love the imagery of everyone starting with a chicken heart, and through courage and determination, transforming it into a lion heart and eventually a dragon heart.
It's such a powerful metaphor for the journey of personal growth.
Right.
We all have moments of fear and uncertainty.
Yeah.
But facing those challenges helps us develop inner strength.
And Dr. Bak emphasizes that growth is an ongoing process. There's always room for more.
He uses the dragon image to represent that ongoing journey of mastery.
Okay.
He said, dragons are everywhere if you know where to look. They're hidden in the courage we summon in tough moments, in the resilience we build from life's challenges. And every time we master something in ourselves, we move closer to becoming that mythical creature, a dragon with strength, wisdom, and heart.
It's such a beautiful vision. It suggests that we all have the potential for greatness within us, and self-discovery is a lifelong adventure.
What's truly touching is how Dr. Bak describes collaborating with William. He said it taught him as much as it taught his son.
He said, these stories became a bridge that allowed me to guide him through concepts far bigger than either of us.
It reminds us that parenting is a two-way street.
Yeah.
We learn and grow alongside our children.
And Dr. Bak's parenting style, it really reflects his overall philosophy. You know, empowering others to find their own path, offering guidance without imposing his beliefs.
He said, I didn't impose my dreams or force my beliefs on him. Instead, I showed him by example, and he chooses to walk with me on his terms.
It's a powerful example of how we can inspire others through our actions, through how we live our lives.
And it's a reminder that true leadership isn't about control.
Right.
It's about inspiring others to become their best selves.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about Dr. Bak's advice on, getting things done.
Okay.
He clearly accomplishes a lot, so I'm curious to hear his, secrets.
One of his key principles is finishing what we start.
Okay.
He said, I know if I finish something, I can move on to new things to keep that growth alive.
It's like that feeling of satisfaction when we, check something off our to-do list.
Right.
It frees up mental space for the next challenge.
Exactly. Dr. Bak says this applies to everything, writing books, pursuing personal goals, even daily tasks.
So it's about building the discipline and follow-through to, see things through.
He gives some practical advice on how to do this.
Okay.
He talks about setting clear goals, timelines, and breaking down big tasks into smaller steps.
It's like creating a roadmap for success, knowing where we're going and how we'll get there.
And he emphasizes taking action, even when we don't feel like it.
Right.
He said thinking is fine, but action brings clarity. Action is what matters.
It's a reminder that we can plan all day, but it's doing that moves us forward.
He also stresses self-reliance, taking ownership of our success.
He said, when I take action, it's on me. No one else is controlling me. I'm the one in the driver's seat.
It's about empowering ourselves to create the life we want, not waiting for permission or for someone to pave the way.
Right. He applies this as a doctor and mentor, guiding by example, showing what's possible, not dictating what to do.
It's about inspiring through actions, through how we live.
He said, the more confident I am in that, the less I feel the need to push my methods on anyone else.
It's a powerful statement about finding our own inner strength and allowing others to do the same.
Ultimately, Dr. Bak believes that consistently striving for our goals, it shapes our identity.
He said, most will say it's our choices, but choices mean nothing without action. For me, my identity is built on what I do and the consequences of those actions.
It's profound. We're not defined by thoughts, but by what we bring into the world through our actions. We create our reality, our destiny.
And he encourages us to approach life with adventure, seeing it as a grand experiment, never stopping learning and growing.
So it's not about perfection. It's about embracing the journey, the ups and downs, the successes and failures, and using those experiences to like fuel our growth and evolution.
It's almost like he's encouraging us to become alchemists of our own lives.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Alchemists, like transforming the raw materials of our experiences, the good and the bad, into something meaningful and precious.
Exactly.
And we've only just begun to tap into Dr. Bak's wisdom. His insights offer a powerful roadmap for personal growth, achieving our goals, and living a fulfilling life.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we invite you to consider what resonated most with you today. What one small step can you take to clean your glass or ride your emotions? Remember, self-discovery is a journey, not a destination. And as Dr. Bak reminds us, we all have the potential for greatness within us.
Keep exploring, keep growing, and keep becoming the most awesome version of yourself. Going through all of this, it feels like we've been handed a toolkit for building a better life. You know what I mean? All these strategies, all these ideas.
Yeah, for sure. And what's cool is it's not about like reaching some magical state of perfection or anything like that.
Right.
It's about constant evolution, an ongoing process of learning and growing.
He actually used this analogy of life being like a messy room where you have to kind of get your hands dirty, sift through the clutter, define the treasures,
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's a great way to look at the self-discovery process, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not always going to be pretty or easy.
Exactly. And he encourages us to approach it all with a sense of curiosity and even like playfulness,
Yeah.
not taking ourselves too seriously, allowing ourselves to, experiment and make mistakes along the way.
He said, the moment I stopped caring about living up to this image of perfection, my charm, my confidence, it all doubled because I was finally being me.
I love that.
It's like he's giving us permission to just let go of that need to be perfect and just embrace our authentic selves,
Right.
flaws and all.
Totally. It reminds me of something he said about self-love being the foundation for everything else. Like when we can truly love and accept ourselves, we're more capable of loving and accepting others.
And those genuine connections, those loving relationships, they're what make life so rich and meaningful.
Absolutely. He really emphasized that it's not just about individual achievement.
Yeah.
It's about using our talents and abilities to make a positive impact on the world.
So it's like all these pieces, like cleaning the glass, building self-trust, riding our emotions, embracing our authentic selves, they all come together to create a life that's both fulfilling and impactful.
Right. And it's not about following some like rigid formula or achieving some predetermined outcome.
Right.
It's about using these tools and insights to craft a life that's uniquely our own, a life that aligns with our values and brings us joy.
Well, what a journey this deep dive has been.
Yeah, it has.
We've explored so much, from the power of forgiveness to the transformative potential of fear, from the importance of self-reliance to the magic of finding momentum through discipline.
And it all circles back to that core message of self-discovery being an ongoing process. It's not a destination we reach. It's an adventure we embrace, a path we continue to walk throughout our lives.
Dr. Bak has given us a lot to think about, a lot to reflect on, and hopefully some practical tools and insights to help us, navigate our own journeys with more clarity, courage, and purpose.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we invite you to consider what resonated most with you today. What one small step can you take to clean your glass or ride your emotions? Remember, self-discovery is a journey, not a destination. And as Dr. Bak reminds us, we all have the potential for greatness within us. Keep exploring, keep growing, and keep becoming the most awesome version of yourself.
See you all next time.
And that wraps up today's powerful session on the Alpha Insider Show. What an incredible look into Dr. Bak's mentorship with Marlene Chatigny, a true testament to the power of guidance and personal growth. Now, if today's insights resonated with you and you're interested in a similar path, here's some exciting news. Dr. Bak is accepting applications for apprentices. If you qualify, you'll have the chance to join his exclusive entourage for a 12-month mentorship, diving into his unique approach firsthand. You can connect with Dr. Bak on social media to learn more about the selection process and what it takes to join this remarkable journey. With 174 books to his name, many available on Amazon, Kindle, and Apple Books, he's a wealth of knowledge and insight, with his new online Alpha class launching soon as well. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, our Alpha Insider Show is here every Monday and Thursday at 8 a.m. I'm Aaron. Welcome to the Alphas.